The newest episode of The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City has completely shaken the fandom, because for the first time, we finally get detailed, conflicting, and absolutely wild accounts of what really went down during that infamous airplane incident between Meredith Marks and Britani Bateman. This off-camera fight has been teased for weeks, whispered about by every cast member, and turned into one of the most debated mysteries in RHOSLC history. And now, with Season 6, Episode 11, we finally get the full breakdown. But shockingly, no one agrees on what happened. And trust me, the contradictions are so extreme that you'll end up questioning every single cast member by the end of this video. Before we dive into the chaos, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss the breakdowns, the drama, or the behind-the-scenes tea that Bravo never shows you. Everything starts when Mary Cosby, in classic Mary form, decides the only logical solution to a cast divided by turbulence, tears, accusations, and TikTok rumors is to gather everyone for a post-church Sunday lunch at the iconic Valter's Osteria. But Britani isn't invited, and that's when you know things are serious. The meeting begins with Mary announcing that the whole point is to clear the air after the dramatic return flight from their below-deck down-under Caribbean charter. But the ladies can't even agree on who should speak first, let alone what happened in the sky. According to Meredith, the story is simple and compassionate. She says she was hurt, overwhelmed, and reacting emotionally because Britani had repeated a TikTok rumor about Seth allegedly cheating during a group dinner on the yacht. Meredith claims she boarded the plane, vented quietly to Lisa Barlow for a little bit, put on a movie, fell asleep, woke up, and occasionally cried because she was embarrassed and upset. She admits it wasn't the right time or place, but paints herself as sorrowful, not confrontational. But the rest of the cast insists this version is not just incomplete, it's delusional. Heather Gay, who gives perhaps the most detailed account, describes the scene as very intense. She claims Meredith ranted loudly, repeatedly, and relentlessly about Britani for hours. She says there would be short bursts of peace where Meredith seemed calm, but then out of nowhere the tension would rebuild until it exploded again. Heather even uses the word crescendo, making it sound like they were trapped on a flight that felt more like a Meredith emotional symphony of insults, accusations, and grievances. Whitney Rose goes even further. She claims Meredith didn't just vent. She taunted Britani, called her names, and kept going and going and going. Whitney even tells a producer flat out, Meredith was absolutely diabolical on the airplane. It's a statement so intense, it almost feels scripted. Except in RHOSLC, the real drama is usually crazier than anything a writer could ever make up. But Meredith insists this is all exaggerated. She claims she never addressed Britani directly because Britani had over-ear headphones on and couldn't hear anything anyway. She denies taunting, denies name-calling, and denies speaking for hours. She even adds that she only talked for maybe 30 minutes total, spaced out between crying and watching Crazy Rich Asians and another movie she can't remember. Whether that lost movie title is because she was distraught or because she's avoiding specifics, well, that's part of why the cast doesn't believe her. The story gets even more dramatic when the ladies revisit what happened after landing. Heather claims Britani was hysterically crying as they got off the plane, to the point where even Angie Katzenevas and Mary, both of whom can't stand Britani, felt compelled to comfort her. Angie says she cried when she saw Britani because the scene was that emotional. This version paints Britani as the victim of an emotional onslaught that followed her from dinner to flight to baggage claim. Meanwhile, Lisa Barlow did the exact opposite. As the group stood in a long customs line in Utah to support Britani, Lisa stayed far away with her AirPods in. When questioned, she first blamed confusion about global entry, but eventually confessed the truth: she just needed space. She said she was listening to Kendrick Lamar to decompress, as if the chaos on the plane required the soundtrack of a Pulitzer-winning rapper to survive. Later, after the lunch, Lisa meets Meredith privately and admits she had already sat down with Britani and had a breakthrough. She suggests Meredith should also talk to Britani, gently of course, which is hilarious considering how Meredith just spent days insisting her emotional spiral wasn't as bad as everyone said. Meredith agrees to reach out, and Britani, to her credit, accepts the offer to meet. Their conversation becomes the emotional anchor of the episode. Meredith starts the meeting with a calm apology, saying she's genuinely sorry Britani overheard her talking on the plane, and acknowledges it was the wrong time and place. She insists she doesn't want to hurt Britani and wants to at least build a foundation of respect. Britani, surprisingly, doesn't hold back either. She fully admits she repeated the TikTok rumor, knowing it was shady. She apologizes, stating clearly that bringing it up was intentional and wrong. Their exchange is measured, mature, and shockingly rational compared to the flight horror stories the cast delivered all episode long. By the end of the sit-down, they agree to take baby steps towards civility. Meredith explains in a confessional that she apologized for hurting Britani's feelings, and Britani apologized for intentionally trying to hurt her with the Seth rumor. And in her mind, that's enough to move forward peacefully. But the real question, and the one that sets us up for everything coming next, is simple. Who is telling the truth about the flight? Because the women's accounts are not slightly different. They are polar opposites. The amount of detail each cast member gives suggests everyone believes their version fully, which makes the mystery even more gripping. As the dust begins to settle from Meredith and Britani's emotional sit-down, the rest of the cast continues dissecting the plane incident like it was a federal investigation. Because the truth is, this fight wasn't just about a TikTok rumor or a moment of emotional overload. It exposed fractures between the women that have been building all season. And now those cracks are widening so quickly that even an apology can't patch them up. Heather, who has always positioned herself as the unofficial moral compass of the group, is convinced that what happened on that flight was far more explosive than Meredith will ever admit. Heather insists the other ladies aren't exaggerating, they are downplaying. In her mind, the reason she and others immediately ran to comfort Britani after landing is because they genuinely believed she had been beaten down emotionally for hours. And Heather keeps repeating one phrase, "It was intense." The way she describes it, the air on that flight was thick, suffocating, and emotionally charged. Then comes Whitney, whose version of events only grows more dramatic with every retelling. She insists that Meredith didn't just vent, she went after Britani, choosing moments of silence strategically before ramping up again. Whitney's claim that the behavior was diabolical isn't just a dramatic flourish. It's her way of warning the audience that this wasn't a misunderstanding. It was a targeted breakdown that left Britani terrified, humiliated, and overwhelmed. But Meredith stands firm. To her, these accusations are not just unfair, they're weaponized narratives. She believes the women are inflating the story to build a collective case against her, perhaps as revenge for years of tension, shifting alliances, and her signature cold detachment whenever someone crosses her. Meredith refuses to accept the diabolical villain storyline, insisting these versions are pure exaggeration. Her stance is simple. She was hurt, she cried, and she vented. Not attacked, not harassed, not tormented. Lisa Barlow, meanwhile, plays the role of the reluctant middle ground. After her private talk with Britani, she tells Meredith that things can move forward, but even Lisa avoids confirming any of the extreme claims. She'll say Meredith was emotional, yes. She'll say she vented, absolutely. But the hours-long ranting, the alleged taunting, Lisa sidesteps those parts like they're landmines. She knows the truth she shares determines who she aligns with for the rest of the season. And Lisa doesn't pick sides. She picks survival. Angie adds another layer of confusion. Though she doesn't like Britani, she admits she cried seeing her so upset after the flight. Her choice to comfort Britani shocked even her, and it suggests the scene they walked into after landing was far more intense than Meredith describes. Angie isn't usually emotional, so if she was moved, something powerful happened. Even Mary, who rarely gets invested in group drama, found herself soothing Britani. For Mary to step in, something had to feel overwhelmingly off. Mary often avoids emotional heavy lifting, but here she was rubbing Britani's back and trying to keep her steady. That detail alone sparks suspicion, because Mary moves for no one unless she truly believes it's necessary. All of these conflicting stories swirl around the cast like storm clouds, and the audience is left trying to piece together the truth from fragments, half-memories, and emotionally tinted recollections. This is what makes great Housewives television. The chaos isn't just in the incident, but in the women's inability to ever agree on one shared reality. The real twist, however, comes after Meredith and Britani apologize to each other. In theory, the drama should end there, but Housewives' apologies are rarely endings. They're openings. Openings to new alliances, new secrets, new reasons to take jabs when the timing feels right. Even as Meredith and Britani shake hands metaphorically and agree to take baby steps towards civility, the unresolved tension among the group remains. Heather doesn't fully trust Meredith's version. Whitney doesn't buy it at all. Angie is skeptical. Mary is quietly processing. And Lisa is protecting herself as always. Behind all of this lies a deeper question. Why did a single TikTok rumor ignite this level of emotional chaos? The answer is simple, because the rumor is only the surface. Underneath, there are years of resentment, unspoken truths, bruised egos, shifting allegiances, and personal insecurities that every woman carries but rarely admits to. A rumor is never just a rumor on The Real Housewives. It's a spark thrown onto a pile of emotional fireworks that's been quietly waiting for ignition. The plane incident didn't create new conflicts. It exposed the ones that were already bubbling. And now, with the truth blurred beyond recognition, every woman must decide what version of the story benefits her the most. Because on RHOSLC, perception is currency. As Meredith reflects in her confessional, she feels peace moving forward after the mutual apology. But peace isn't the absence of chaos, it's the pause before the next wave hits. And in this group, the waves come fast. The cast may want to move on, but the audience knows better. This is reality TV. Stories don't end because people forgive each other. They end when every layer has been exposed, dissected, and weaponized. And the Housewives aren't close to finished yet. The truth about the airplane incident may never be fully known. But one thing is certain. It has rewired the dynamics of Salt Lake City forever. Friendships have shifted, loyalties have wavered, and the smallest crack in the group has now become a fault line stretching through the entire season. As the episode closes and the women begin navigating the aftermath, the question becomes, who's really ready to move forward, and who's just pretending? Because in Salt Lake City, a calm moment usually means the storm is closer than anyone realizes. And as Meredith and Britani attempt their fragile reset, the other women are already preparing for the next confrontation, the next reveal, and the next moment when the truth, or at least someone's version of it, explodes back into the center of the story. The turbulence on that airplane may have ended when the wheels touched the runway, but the turbulence in this friend group is only beginning. And as the season continues, the cast and the viewers will discover just how high the stakes truly are.